Do you have a prodigal child, prodigal spouse, prodigal family member, friend, someone who is just not in your life and you wish they were? Do you have someone in your life who you pray you can reconcile with, pray that they come to their senses, and yet they don't or haven't thus far? Today's video is about knowing when it's time to lean in and when it's time to pull back. Because ultimately, God alone is the one that's going to reach your prodigal, but sometimes he uses you and needs you to say the words for him that need to be said. Sometimes he needs you to reach out to that person, but sometimes he says, pull back and let me do this. It's amazing, well, not really amazing, but so many people have a hard time with this. I used to have a hard time with this when I had an estranged family member. But that was one of the things that God taught me. When I was feeling scared, it seemed those were the times that God said, okay, I'm going to have you reach in, lean in, even though you don't want to, even though you feel uncomfortable. And so he used those times to teach me, why was I afraid to lean in? Was I afraid of that person's outcome, their opinion, their thoughts of me? Was I afraid I'd push them further away, which was a very valid possibility? Was I afraid of what other people would think? And it was almost as if God needed to break me of those fears. But then there were times where I was just super bold and wanted to lean in and say this and say that. And the Lord's like, you need to wait. Sometimes he'd say, no, you don't need to say that at all. I will do that. And sometimes he would say, oh, I will need you to say that, but not now. He said to me, you sit, be still. Know that I'm God. Oh, I used to hate that. I was like, oh, I know. Because I wanted to do something. So many of us want to do something. And give me a task, give me a word, give me an action. Let me do something. But in that is this risk that we think that we are the ones that healed the person, help heal the relationship. And I think God never wants us to get that far into thinking that we are the ones that did anything to heal a relationship. We are supposed to be open and willing vessels. Now, here's the thing. We always can and should be doing something, but what we can and should be doing always at all times is praying for that person, fasting for that person, suffering for that person, daily mortifications. Are you going without a sweater when you're cold? Are you allowing yourself to turn the air conditioning down when you're hot and you'd prefer to be cooled off? Are you letting yourself I'm trying to think. Sometimes when I go running and I have a toe that hurts and is injured, I tell myself I'm going to keep running, and every pain that I feel, I'm going to offer up for that person's decision. There's so many wonderful mortifications that you guys have done and you've told me about. But that's something you can do. But see, Satan tries to tell us that we're not doing anything at all because that person doesn't know. How are they going to know? Well, God knows. And for every prayer, God dispatches an angel. For every fast you commit, God dispatches an angel. For every mortification you do for someone, so God dispatches an angel or two or three or four. God is saying, are you talking to me? Because if you're talking to me, I'm going to do this. But you, Christine, you, John, you, Sally, you, Fred, you, whatever, you need to have faith in me. And faith is what you believe is happening, even though you don't see it with your eyes. Because if we saw it with our eyes, it wouldn't take faith. I have some couples we're waiting for marital reconciliation, and I'll often have friends say to me, well, have you seen any sign? Does it look like they're getting closer? I do believe that couple's going to reconcile, but what are you seeing? Are they drawing closer? And I'm like, no, it actually looks further away. This one's living with his mistress, and then she entered into a fake marriage with her mister. What do you call the male mistress? Oh, they have a child together. What? That may not ever. I'm like, ooh, God does his best work in the 12th hour. So our faith is saying, God, I believe you can and will do anything and everything. And I'll pull back, but I will be here at the ready. When you tell me to act, I will act. And when you tell me to pull back, I will pull back. When you tell me to speak, I'll speak. When you tell me to be silent, I'll be silent. And that, my friends, is what you need to practice. Is the Lord telling you right now to lean in or pull back? And often you're like, I can't really tell. The next step is really discerning. Are you listening to your own voice or the voice of the Holy Spirit? Or worse, the voice of someone who is not you and not the Holy Spirit, which means it is the bad spirit, Satan. And if you have any question whatsoever which voice it is, then don't act. Don't act until you know for sure it's God. Well, actually, there's another part of that. If you are the type that's a scaredy cat, you never act, go, well, I'm gonna wait till I 100% know that's God. Okay, well, then you need to get perhaps a spiritual director or someone that will give you guidance and say, here's what I think you're hearing. So remember, it's not the same answer for all people. Some people are told to lean in while others are told to back away. One more example, I think of couples. I have a couple standers, and they were said, well, my prodigal's coming closer, and I was just wondering if I should make love to him or her, when they visit. That is also something God has to tell you on. I've had several. I think of one who the Lord said to her, yes, you should make yourself available to your husband, even though he had a mistress. Because part of what divided them was her having always used sex as a weapon. You're not getting this until you do that. And so she had to be a changed woman, showed her husband, I'm so sorry, and I am available to you. But then I have others who's and both of these cases I'm thinking of, it was women standards who said, yeah, I've heard from the Holy Spirit. I can't do that because my husband would take advantage of it and go, oh, well, I can have my cake and eat it too, and thus have less incentive to come home. But both of these women and all of the people I talk about were practicing hearing the voice of God. And that's what you need to do as well. But if you struggle and you need help and you don't have a spiritual director, give me a call. I do that as well. And I'd love to help you hear the voice of God. Together we can journey through this, draw closer to the God who loves you more than anything he's ever created. He loves you so much he would die for you. Oh, he already did. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching Breakfast with Bacon. And as always, remember to live your life sunny side up.